Hey everyone, it's Aisha White, and this video is for you, like all the videos. But this one is for me too, because over the past week, I realized that I really need to take my own advice. Like, it's so easy to dole out advice to other people, but in moments where you should probably be applying what you've said to other people, you don't necessarily do it. And so this topic today is about the lies that your mind can tell you, things that you come to believe, conclusions that you come to based on your experiences. But first, I want to say hello to my new subscribers and also to my OG subscribers. And I have a special note. It was recently brought to my attention by one of my royally awesome subscribers that everybody does not know what an OG is. I just took it for granted that was a term that everyone was familiar with. That's not the case, and I completely overlooked the fact that there are subscribers who are from other parts of the world also that may not be familiar with that phrase. And so an OG just means an original gangster. That's what it means. It's saying that you're an original. You were the first to do something. And it was used in hip-hop culture, urban culture, and really at this point in mainstream culture, as far as America goes at least. And it's just used to refer to the original or the one from way back. So if you're one of my OG subscribers, that simply means that you were one of the first to subscribe to my channel. You were from way back. You believed in me early on. And I appreciate you. I appreciate my new subscribers who are jumping in now, and I appreciate my OG subscribers who have been here from the beginning. And I would like to think that if we continue growing, then a new subscriber, the 100th subscriber, would become an OG down the line if we're thinking relatively. Because if you're one of the first 100, if this channel gets to 1,000, then you would be an OG subscriber because you were one of the first 100. So I think that makes sense. So yes, mystery solved. An OG is an original gangster. I'm not accusing you of illegal activity. I'm just saying that you were one of the first. So thank you. So getting back to the topic of, like I said, the lies that your mind can tell you. I've just been kind of trying to dig deep and think about emotions and the reason why I was feeling particular ways this week. It's just been kind of a week of ups and downs, like everyone has, but a lot of the times, in order to get to a better place in your mind, physically, and whatever your space is, you want to get to the root of what is causing you to feel the way that you are, if you are feeling off emotionally. And that was the case for me. And I also was thinking in broader terms overall when it comes to communication and when you're speaking to someone. So often I find it challenging to find the right words to say when I'm speaking to someone that maybe I've met before or never met before, or sometimes it's people that I know. If I haven't become completely comfortable with them, then it can still be a challenge to talk to them and just get a naturally flowing conversation out of the interaction. And I think at the root of it is insecurities. So it's as if it were a collection of insecurities that I've carried over the years, almost like a checklist. Based upon my experiences, I've made mental notes. And so let's say I was in a conversation and I was giving ideas that I thought were good, but the person who was receiving them was dismissing them and felt that they weren't good ideas. And so mentally I go, okay, well, I'm not very creative then. I don't have good ideas. And I took that and I carried that with me over the years. So when I'm before someone new and they go, Aisha, do you have any ideas? Then I would freeze up, or I would throw out ideas but second guess them and start to get nervous. Another example of a way in which you might tell lies to yourself, your mind lies to you, is in your relationships. So maybe your dynamic with your parents or your family members are not ideal. Maybe you feel like you're trying to live up to an expectation that you're not able to reach with them. And so when you all interact, you feel like you're being judged and never ever accepted. Maybe you feel like you're too quiet. Maybe you feel like you're too bold. People have made you feel that way. I know for me, over the years, it was always my struggle with learning what people thought of me and applying that to myself and telling myself what I am and what I am not, and going back to that mental checklist that I made in my mind. So growing up as a kid, I feel that I was pretty fearless and pretty outgoing as a little girl. Like I said, what was on my mind, and just enjoyed myself overall. And I didn't hesitate. I didn't second guess the things I said and did, which, it might not always be the right thing to do. But as a little kid, we know kids are super honest and open. And that's how I was as a little kid. But as I got older, other matters started to come about. Kids' opinions started to matter to me. And based upon my experiences, I found out, I'm not talkative enough. I'm too quiet. Jokes about me being a mute, and, all these comments about me not speaking, not talking enough, made me feel like I was an outsider and that I had nothing to bring when it came to conversation. And honestly, it haunted me for much of my life into my adulthood, even today. When I'm meeting somebody new, when I'm in an environment where I'm networking with somebody, I kind of go back to that place where I'm second guessing myself and feeling like I don't have something of value to offer to the conversation. And I start to get nervous, I start to freeze up, and just kind of all the words, all the thoughts in my head go away. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know what to say. And it can be really awkward because you've got to find your way out of that conversation or like invite somebody else in. And that can be the case a lot of the times. And it varies. Sometimes I'm at my most comfortable one-on-one, but I think that sometimes it's once I build up that trust with that other person. But if it's like a brand new person, we're starting from zero, then I'm really trying to pull for something in common. And things like, oh, let's talk about the football game last night, don't necessarily work for me. I'm not a huge follower of sports. I casually watch games, but I can't pull from some of the, I guess, natural go-tos for most people, because I don't always necessarily participate in it sometimes. And so it's like that sets me apart from other people too, and it just makes the conversation that much harder to find a point of interest that is common. And of course, I like overthink that sometimes too, and by the time I've come up with what I want to say, then it's too late and we've moved on. So that's something that I know that I've carried with me, and I am trying to improve at. That's the point of this channel, is to improve on my communication skills, namely being too quiet and not knowing what to say next. There are other challenges that come along with the lies that your mind tells you, including relationships. Another thing that I know I have experienced firsthand, and I'm sure that's not exclusive to me, it's with so many people, your experiences within your relationship help to define you in some sort of way. You decide who you are and who you are not, but it's up to you to be healthy about it, to come to a healthy conclusion about yourself, learn from your experiences rather than to go, I'm not good enough. And that's how I felt in different scenarios, not in all my relationships, but just past relationships that I've had, where maybe I'm giving more than the other person, and it becomes clear and I feel neglected or overlooked. And in moments like that, you start to question like yourself, and sometimes you blame yourself, and that's not the thing to do. But it would help much more to communicate with that other person and let them know up front how you feel. I have a tendency to hold things in, and then they just kind of bubble over randomly, and so it feels like a strange time to bring things up. I'm real good at that sometimes, improving, but it would help a lot more to address it when it's bothering you at the moment rather than to hold it in. And that's what I chose to do oftentimes, was to hold it in, and then it just all came out at once, and I'm expressing my feelings, expressing my thoughts, and kind of internally thinking, well, why am I not good enough? Why is it not important to this person that they spend time with me? If we incorporate love languages, my top love languages are quality time and words of affirmation. And those kind of go hand in hand when it comes to feeling reassured and feeling loved and cared for in whatever capacity, whether it's in a romantic relationship or friendship or with your family. I want to spend time with you, and I want to know that we're good and know that we're on the same page, I guess, with our feelings, with our thoughts. And that wasn't always the case in relationships, and so it made it that much harder for me to be happy ultimately. And in times where it was, I've experienced unrequited love also, where it's like, I have these feelings, I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to let you know, here it goes. And they're like, you're sweet, however, and you can't make someone feel a certain way for you. You can't force them into it, and we all know that. But in the moment, it hurts. It can kind of crush you sometimes, and immediately you're thinking, well, why not? Like, am I not attractive enough? Is it a weight thing? Like, is it a height thing? I don't know. I guess it could be for some people. Is it, am I not intelligent enough? Am I not clever enough? And you just run through this whole list of things that make you not enough. And it could simply be that the feelings just are not there. And I was thinking about this because, like I said, I've experienced it myself, and on both ends of it, though. So being the one with all these feelings that I'm giving away, but also being the object of affection. And I was really thinking about it, because I've had it handled different ways, where someone was like, not interested, and it was just handled so with not great care. And I've had it handled with much care. And I really hope that the person that expressed themselves, because I can remember their words and what they said to me, and I vaguely remember my response, but I really hope that I was as gentle and as caring in my response, as expressive as possibly could have been, in letting them know that my feelings weren't there, but that they were appreciated and I cared about them as a friend. And yeah, that kind of sticks with me these days too. So if we're talking about communication, make sure you're communicating fully how you feel and how you think to someone. It can be a challenge, because what you have on your mind to say doesn't always flow out in that same way. And so sometimes it comes across in bits and pieces, or it comes out sounding terrible and it's not what you meant. And I would say don't hesitate when that happens, even if you have to follow it up with a call or a text and be like, hey, just to clear the air, just to be clear, this is what I meant. Because clarity is beautiful. It's the best thing. One of my biggest pet peeves is, I don't know if I've mentioned this in one of my videos before or not, but in romantic comedies where there's a couple, and there's a guy and a girl, and there's a whole will they, won't they element to it. And I don't know, the girl, the female lead, she sees the guy walking inside a ring store with another lady, and she's like, oh no, he's taking another lady to get a ring, and he's gonna marry her. And then the plot twist is that, like, it was his cousin, and she was just suggesting ring types to him or something. I don't know, but it's something silly where it's like, this scenario, this miscommunication could have been easily solved with two people just talking to each other and clearing the air. And I think that happens so often in real life also. Like, maybe you think somebody shoots you a dirty look, and you're like, oh, okay, she doesn't like me, well, I don't like her either, and that's fine. And you go on hating this person, and then down the line maybe somebody acknowledges it, and it's like that person was not giving you a dirty look. They were looking over your shoulder and giving the person behind you a dirty look. Or they were like, I don't know, the sun was in their eyes or something, and they're like, oh, and making a face. And you're like, oh, that's the face of distrust and anger. And it wasn't at all. And so just kind of clearing the air when miscommunications happen. And that really works its way into the larger picture of the lies that your mind tells you, because it's like, when you've already got insecurities and you feel that you have nothing to offer when it comes to conversation, or maybe that you're not a good friend. Like, if people in your life seem to leave you often, maybe you make friends and they don't stick around very long, you start to think that there's something wrong with you and that you don't have much to offer when it comes to friendship. And so if someone you feel gives you a look, you're like, that's the way it goes. That is my life, is that this person that I was cordial with, now they dislike me for some reason, and I know that they don't like me, and they're gonna go because everybody leaves. And you start to believe that, and that's just your truth that you live by, and it's not. It's a lie that your mind is telling you. So I very much so had to remind myself this week that your mind is a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it's capable of producing so much. It's where creativity lives. It's where your smarts live. It's your noggin, but it can also act as a weapon and like attack you by just kind of dropping these lies all over the place. And when you start to believe them, then it can eat at you. It can make your insecurities rise to the surface, and it can affect your relationships with other people. It can affect the way that you communicate with other people, and maybe you become more bashful. Maybe you second guess every decision that you make. Maybe you end up overthinking half the day, and it stresses you out. It leads to anxiety, physical stress, and that's no way to live. In the same way that I overthink and I don't like it, and I want to help other people to not overthink. In my last video, that's what I'm tackling. This is kind of a continuation of that. I ended up overthinking as a result of believing the lies that I've been telling myself over the years. So telling myself that I was too quiet, telling myself that I wasn't bold enough, telling myself that I was not fun or interesting enough, telling myself that for whatever reason I am not good enough in a relationship, capacity for someone to truly appreciate me, love me, and see me for all that I am. Because even in the past, I felt like I couldn't fully be myself in different relationships, that people only got certain sides of me, and I want to be able to be authentic in a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship, where I can be all of me. Like, I think that that's so ideal. You want to be able to be your true self with somebody, and maybe that helps to define the kind of relationships that you need to keep in your life, when you can be yourself fully with someone else. Maybe that's the secret to it. If you know the secret to like long-lasting friendships, relationships with people, please comment in the comment section and share your knowledge. And if you can connect with this in any sort of way, if you know that everybody has insecurities, so if you've been struggling with that lately, insecurities coming to the surface, if you believe that is at the root of communication issues that you have, where you're battling with insecurities that you've had feeling like you're not worthy, people making you look or making you feel like you're lesser than, that you won't amount to these things. You may have these beautiful, beautiful goals, and goals that are intended to even help other people, but oftentimes people may be skeptical. Maybe they're looking at your past and going, well, you were never one to follow through with things, so why should we believe that you'll ever achieve whatever this new goal is? And you could look at that and go, you're right, and never amount to anything. Or you can keep going and knowing that those are lies and that you should not believe them. So I encourage you to keep going, that you should not believe the lies that your mind tells you. I think that you should make sure that you center yourself and refocus on whatever it is that is your goal. If your goal is specific to like education or your career, if it's like, I want to find that partner that appreciates me, whatever it is, just make sure you're approaching it in a healthy way and knowing the truth about yourself. If that takes a little bit of searching, that takes a little bit of thought, which I'm sure it will, I think you should do it. If it takes writing it out, if it takes speaking aloud, figuring out who you are, defining yourself, and then going forth in the world with that, rather than relying on the decisions and actions of other people around you over time to define who you are. You are not defined by the actions of other people. You are who you are. You are who God created you to be, and every single one of us has some sort of purpose that we are fulfilling, even if it's, the simplest of things, making somebody smile, comforting someone. You're here for a reason. Don't ever doubt that. So stay present, stay positive, stick around. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you are encouraged by this topic. I hope that I was able to clearly convey my ideas, because I've just kind of been piecing it together over the week and figuring out what I wanted to say and wanting it to be clear, because I've been figuring this whole thing out inside my mind also, and just wanting to connect and encourage other people, because I know there's got to be somebody else out there that's experiencing something similar. I hope that it helps. I hope it helps to improve your communication. Let me know. Let me know how you feel. Let me know what you're working on right now. Give me feedback in the comment section. Shoot me an email. I'd love to chat. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next week. If you like this video, give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, talking about communication, improving on it, all aspects of it, interviews with other people about communication, then subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. I'm Aisha White. Bye-bye.